the Know Your Gear podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to a bonus podcast. This is for the channel members, Patreon members. They submit questions. We have a guest, and the guest is my lovely wife, Shauna.
Hello.
Some of the questions are for me, some of the questions are for her, and this is more of just a chill kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is from Rod. He says, okay, from my wife. So this is from his wife. Which guitar of Phil's is the prettiest? Now, we know on the last one you said your favorite one was the Framus.
It's got to be the Framus, too. Because it just looks like water to me. It just looks like an ocean or waves or...
What's the second prettiest?
Well, the other part of this question is better.
Okay.
Which one won't I let you sell? And that's your bass. The orange bass that you bought from the bass place.
Yeah.
I think it was the year we opened the store. Or roughly around then.
Yeah, it's a 2004, I believe. The bass is a 2004.
That's the one I probably wouldn't ever let you sell. Most of them I just don't want you to sell just because there's no reason to right now.
Oh, now this is from Rod, but this is from him, not his wife. He says, which guitar, when he pulls it out, do you say, oh, God, come on, kids, we're going to the mall? All of them.
No, it's not really guitars. It's more like when he's testing out really loud amps. And he's rumbling the walls, and there's no place for me to go inside the house. That's kind of that's when it actually, the worst for me is I just can't get away from it. Our house is just not big enough. The rooms are not just soundproofed enough. And when the loud amps come out, that's when I'm like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah, I'll be demoing or checking something out, and then I'll come out of my room, and everybody in the house is missing. And then I'll look, and then she's like, we went to Costco.
Yeah, it's mostly amps. It's not really a guitar. I mean, there's been some guitars that he has had that I'm just like, please stop playing that guitar. It just grates on my every last nerve, the way it sounds, the way it's usually really inexpensive acoustics though that do it. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me. I think back in the day, we had an Acoustasonic, and I hate to like actually brand it, but it was so bad. It was one of the really inexpensive ones. I know they make more expensive ones, and it could have been the strings that were on it too.
No, it was the guitar.
It was just so bad, and I was like, just please stop playing that guitar. It's so annoying.
And for anyone that might have that guitar, some of you guys know what we're talking about. It's a telly shape or a Strat shape, and it kind of looks like an Ovation. It's really thin. And I loved playing it. It was quiet, and it just was like played like, like mine was a Strat. You just play it like a Strat, but it was acoustic. And I was one of those things. I wasn't really listening to it. I was just playing it. And every time she would cringe, and after a while I go, man, I didn't think about it. And then
it just wasn't pleasing to listen to.
Yeah,
I mean, on the other end, it's just not pleasing. I'm like, I just please stop.
Yeah, it's jangly and thin.
Yeah,
so.
It's very jangly, and it just not a great acoustic sound. Maybe if it was plugged in through some kind of amplification, would have been a lot better. But acoustically, it was just not pleasing. And I tend to like the darker woods tone on acoustic, and like a rosewood back or mahogany, an all mahogany. So like anything that's really bright, I just don't, that's just not my sound. It's just not the one that I like to listen to. So.
Right. This is Thomas says, hey, I remember watching a video of Phil reviewing the Utopia pickups. Those are DiMarzio's. I believe he said they were his top 5 pickups that he owns. Would he be willing to do a video on the top 5 humbuckers he owns and has played? I'd be willing to do that video. I tend to like the same style of humbucker, which as I always refer to is an Alnico 5 PAF style pickup, whether lightly overwound or standard. That always seems to be the sweet spot for me. I find a lot of usable tones in that. So yeah, I can do that video as well. This is not that Woodstock. What are your most and least favorite parts of being in business with your spouse?
So I guess the best part about being in business with my spouse is when we're having a bad day, we're both having the same day. So we kind of know when to stop. And then the least favorite part about being in business is we're both having a bad day. So it's kind of both. It's like, I don't know, when you wake up and you have a fire to put out and there's not a whole lot you can do about it, but you can just kind of, I mean, you can lean on each other a little bit. And I think we work far too much.
Yeah.
That's probably the cherry on top, is that we do find ourselves working, because if I get something, and it's like end of day, I'm still going to take care of it. It's most likely not going to wait till tomorrow, because if I wait till tomorrow, I'll just be up at night, just not being able to sleep.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. And so you guys know, so it's kind of fun to know. You guys know we worked at our business, the music store, for 13 years together. Before that, we worked at a large corporation, and we worked all day together there too, for years. And so we've been working together for a long time. So I agree 100% with Shauna. The worst part, I don't know if it was the worst part, least favorite part, is how if you come home, and I don't even know how to relate to this. It's something I see on TV shows. You come home and you're like, I had a bad day. And they're like, oh, tell me about it. There is no tell me about it. Like if she goes, oh, I'm having a bad day, I know exactly why. I know what's going on. And same here. And that sounds like that's great, except for I'm probably having the same bad day because whatever's happening to me is happening to her and vice versa. Because not just because we're married, but because, it's
we're both dealing with it.
Yeah, we're dealing with the project, so that's the downfall. The good part, though, so you guys know, so it's not just all doom and gloom. One of the nice things about this particular business, the way we have our business set up now, 97% of our money doesn't come from companies, right? It doesn't come from anything generated from sponsorships and all that stuff. The sponsorships are such a small part of what we do. And the reason that's important is 95% of our stress comes from the companies.
Absolutely.
In fact, we think about it constantly, like just not doing anything with any companies. And believe it or not, the truth is there's just a few companies that they're just amazing. They're nice people. We love them. They're great to us. They're great to you guys. And they make great products. Even though, like I said, we don't work with many companies, the most stress we deal with
is companies.
That is why they are barely 5% of our year.
Total income. Yeah.
Because the amount we turn down is insane. The amount of companies. We do turn down companies constantly. Anytime we can, because they're just hell to deal with. That's where the stress comes from. All right. John says, what do you like about Phil? My haircut.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
What do I like about you?
Yeah,
I don't know. I love you. So but what do I like? I don't know. He's funny.
Well,
he's always made me laugh.
So John, here's a funny thing, and she'll chime in. I know it. We've known each other since we were 13. Okay.
I'm pretty sure we were 12.
Yeah, like 12. Right. Junior high. Or we went to middle school, for the clarification of that. So we've known each other since middle school. And definitely friends through high school. Okay. And way, and I mean way, before, not only before we got married or before we dated or before we even thought we would do that, we used to hang out and we would go into like department stores and pretend like we were married and make jokes
and fight
and pretend fight in front of employees. Like it was a thing.
Like we would have an argument. We would sibling. We would start fighting and So we would just
reactions.
we would just be like, I don't know. We would say something and act like we were in a disagreement, I would say. And then, but I mean, we did hang out as friends for a very long time. I mean, I don't think we started dating until we were legal to drink before we were.
Yeah, we were legal to drink before we were
ever started dating. Yes.
So we're friends first because we were friends first many years. We are our dating relationship marriage was like right out of those movies where all your friends are like, why aren't you guys dating? Why aren't you guys together? Like you guys are always together. So we're like, all right, let's do it. Or at least, it didn't really come down like that, but you get the idea. All right, Bruce, Phil always talks about the friends he made with the other channels. Have you made any new friends in your journey dealing with the other side of stuff?
Not really on the other side of things. Phil has said it before, is I'm very direct and to the point. So I'm not real chatty when it comes to when we're doing business side of things. Have I met any like the other YouTubers or like I would consider Larry Mitchell a friend.
Yeah.
I would consider Adobe DOS a friend. I met Steve and Ryan.
I was going to say the other guy at 60 Cycle Hum.
No,
Hey, so when we were at the Gear Fest this year, when we got the first day and we all got our lanyards, Shauna noticed that Steve from 60 Cycle Hum's lanyard said guest. Like we all ours said VIPs, but his said guest.
well, mine said guest, and that made sense because I'm the guest, right? No issues there. But I was like, but aren't you on the show? I'm like, why aren't you a VIP? And he's like, yeah, why aren't I a VIP? So they did actually change it for him. But I was kind of giving him a hard time. Like, not even, I just met him and I was giving him a hard time about the fact that they had given him a guest badge. And
yeah, she's like, don't take that. She's like, you're on the show. And he's like, it's okay. She's like, I don't think it's okay.
I don't
She's
think
like,
it's okay.
She's like, mine says guest because I'm a guest, but you're actually on the show.
Yeah.
And so they changed it to VIP. Okay, so the next question is One Arm Left wants to know, for us non-Instagram social media users, good for you guys, that's the best way to be, is there any way to make sure that the same info is shared here?
I thought when we were putting everything out on the other things, everything got put on the Patreon platform first.
So since this question, this question was dropped before the updates October 1st. As of October 1st, the way I make content now, specifically that isn't a long form YouTube video, okay? So that's already kind of given to you guys ahead of time. If I make any content, and I mean pretty much any content, here's how it works. If it's a short video, if it's a announcement, if it's a sale, if it's a like a behind the scenes thing, or or something I'm doing, whatever it is, here's how it is. It's presented to Patreon, okay, and then channel members. So if you're hearing this on the channel, YouTube's channel member size, you guys get it too. Patrons get it first, but you get it right after them, meaning like 10 minutes or 5 minutes after them. Then it goes on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, it goes on those, and then of course maybe YouTube Shorts and stuff. So now you guys get everything first, and so it's because we've been working on that to make sure there is a system in place of how do we deliver. And so now I make everything specifically for you guys, where before what I was doing, I was making YouTube content or just content, and then I would go, oh, I'll do this for the patrons and the members. Now everything's made for patron members, but then I decide if it goes outside this realm. So for instance, like I just released a video short, like 2 or 3 of them, where, I was like behind the scenes of my Delos headless guitar. It did not see the main stream. It only saw you guys. So One Arm Left, that's a great question. And that's one of the things that's nice about Shauna helping.
And we'll make sure that it is posted to Patreon first before, or in addition to. So if it's being posted on other social platforms, the Patreon platform is actually included in that also. So I will make sure from now on everything is posted to Patreon first.
Yes. So that is a great question and also a great suggestion. And you're part of the reason we were doing that as well. But it's also because, like I said, we saw it was like, okay, we need a system. Simon O says, do you think there are any perks to having a guitar lover, hobbyist, not a YouTuber, as a partner? So he says,
I get to see a lot of concerts. I know there's a lot of people that are like concert goers, and then there are people that are not so much concert goers. But we have been very fortunate to be able to see a lot of live music, and we try to see as much live music, and we try to go outside our genres too. So that's I think that's probably one of the biggest I can see is the benefit. Seeing Barry Manilow, I probably would have never seen him. Phil took me to Reba McEntire, probably wouldn't have gone to see her. And And then because of that,
Avenged Sevenfold.
oh yeah, I saw Avenged Sevenfold. That was a interesting one. My parents brought us tickets one year to go see Garth Brooks. Most likely, because they both knew that we would love that as a gift instead of something else, an experience kind of thing. I get asked a lot, if people have extra tickets, if I'm interested in going, which is totally cool.
Yeah.
And what's another thing I find is kind of beneficial to me. I really like musical theater, and because he's a musician, he will go with me. Because he looks at it as from a different point of view. He doesn't always, So I know there's a lot of men out there that wouldn't go with me to see musical theater, but he does. He will go with me.
Yeah. What's funny is, and this is something that I touch on the podcast from time to time, and it always takes a back burner on the public part of my, my musical, life. I love music. Because I love music, I love guitar, I love musical instruments, I love playing music. But when I say I love music, you're like, of course you love music. Obviously, that's why you play music. But when I say I love music, I mean, she touched on it. There isn't anything off the table. Like, I'm like, I'll go to operas, I'll go to plays, I will go to a country concert, I will go to a death metal concert, I will go to see 50s music. We went to the Fifth Dimension, the Association.
Yeah, we saw them. We saw them like in 2009 or 2008, somewhere in there, and they sounded fantastic. And it was outside, and it was free. That was the craziest part about it. It was we saw the Fifth Dimension and the Association, all their hits, and it was completely free. So
I even watch a lot of music. I watch a lot of music videos. I watch music countdowns. And she watches all this stuff with me too. So she's exposed to it. Here's a funny thing. Here's a game I play constantly with people when they come over. I'll just randomly do it. I go pick a band, and then somebody has to pick a band in the room, and then I go, okay, now everybody in the room pick your favorite song from that band, and then I cue it all up in music video form on the TV, and then play it, and then everybody has to vote who picked the best song from that band.
Right. Some people don't like it.
Yeah.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, we had friends didn't like the game. But most people, so you understand this is my mindset all the time. I'm always listening to music. I have music playing all the time. But it's all over the place. I'll listen to piano music.
Absolutely.
I'll listen to, and so as a hobbyist, yeah, she's exposed to all this guitar stuff and this stuff. But she will point out perfectly, I think, you get exposed to the insane amount of just music.
Yeah, just all over the place.
I said it once on a podcast. You probably would not want to play like a name that band game or song game with me or lyric game with me. I'm pretty. Is that annoying? That I know one thing I do to her is pretty horrible. I constantly correct people on the incorrect lyrics of songs.
It is annoying, and I'm constantly doing it. I hear lyrics wrong all the time. It's okay.
Yes.
I know that about me.
And then I do that. Yeah.
And I'm good with it.
And I do that horrible douchey thing where you're like, what did you think that lyric said?
It's like when somebody corrects you on your diction or your like punctuation. Like, are you like, sometimes I'm like, all right, so are you an English teacher? No. Well, then keep your comments to yourself. Yeah. But yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm fine. Like, I know I mishear lyrics all the time, so it's fine. And I'm not a big lyric person. I guess that's the other part too. Well, I mean, in popular music, I'm not a lyric person. I am a lyric person when it comes to like musical theater. So,
this comes from Brian McKenzie. He says, "Hey, with content creation and always feeding the social media machine, that's perfectly put, by the way. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Was it or is it a struggle to figure out where home, personal, and work life begins and ends as a family?"
It's always a struggle.
Yeah.
The one thing I asked him to do, and I know he's touched on this before, is I didn't want the kids in any of his social media, and I didn't want to be in any of the social media. like you get my voice, but I still want to stay like out of the, I don't want to be on film. I don't want to do that. So those are just some of the rules that I came up with from the very beginning. And we've kept to that. So I still don't really love all the different social medias.
No.
And, they're not that old. I remember the first when somebody was like, "Are you on Facebook?" I'm like, "What's a Facebook?" What is a Facebook? And then Instagram came up. I mean, kids taught me about Instagram. I was like, I don't know what that is. What is that?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, YouTube, I guess our son actually introduced, well, kind of.
Yeah. So to answer, I mean, absolutely, I agree with her. Brian, yes, it's a grind. We talk about it all the time, mostly me, all the time. She deals with it. She reminds me all the time, like, okay, well, we've had enough of that. Let's talk about something else, because, it consumes you all day, all night. The best way I've ever heard it put is you do not schedule work time, you schedule off work time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That was a good piece of advice I got early on, which is you're going to just accept that you work 24 hours a day and schedule off time, not on time. That's absolutely true. And I know people like, well, if you do what you love, you never work another day in your life.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's work.
Yeah. What I tell people, if it helps, is someone who does something they love to do. Here's what I can tell you. A friend said this to me once, and it's the best saying I've ever heard. If you have to have a job, this one doesn't suck.
Yeah, that was a pilot.
Yeah, he's a pilot. I said, is it cool being a pilot? And he goes, well, you have to have a job. This one doesn't suck. And I'm like, I feel the same way. It's fun, but I think it's work. We've been self-employed now.
Since 2004. No, 2003, technically.
2003.
It was the summer of 2003.
Yeah,
it was probably more like February 2003 is when you started designing and working through
bases and stuff.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So that was when that started. I didn't see myself working at my desk job forever. I was perfectly happy doing that for when I did it, but I always knew that I wanted to do something different. And when he came up with the idea of doing the guitars, I was like, sure, I can help you with the business side of it. No problem.
Like I said, it's good. I have no complaints in that area, but it is Brian perfectly put. It's a social media machine. One thing that I don't enjoy about the YouTube system, and I don't really, so Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, all that stuff doesn't really matter to me. So I post on there because I see people enjoy it, and but you receive nothing for it. I don't get a single, there's no payment or anything, and companies don't care I post there. They're not like, hey, we'll send you something if you post it on Instagram. But I don't have any kind of following on those platforms that they care about. So those don't stress me out as much as YouTube. YouTube is a constant stress out because YouTube loves, perfectly put, Rhett Shaw did a podcast where he talked specifically about this. Actually, the first time I ever met Rhett Shaw, we had a glass of whiskey together, and I told him that I thought that podcast he did was amazing, where he basically said, he said, I'm going to quote him basically, I wish YouTube would stop sending me messages about how bad I'm doing. And I feel the same way. I don't know if I've told you guys this in passing before. YouTube likes to send you updates on how you're doing. And when you do good, it's like, hey, you're doing great. Then as soon as you do something not great, it's like, audiences don't like what you're doing, and maybe you should rethink how you're approaching this. And you're like, and the problem I have with that is not because I feel bad because they're telling me I'm not doing well. It's always a video I'm proud of. It's always something I care about. It's like, I did a video and I think it was great, and I think people resonated with it. And yeah, it didn't get all the clicky clicks, but I don't care about the clicky clicks. I care about the depth of enjoying it, making it, and have somebody enjoy it. And YouTube always seems to go like, and the reality is this: if you make a guitar fart joke, you get 1 million views. And if you teach somebody how to fix their guitar, you get 1,000 views. And YouTube's always going to remind you how you should make fart joke videos.
Yes, absolutely. I do remember, because we do watch a lot of music, art, like interviews, and um, there was a show, I think it was on VH1 for a while, where it was like something unplugged.
Oh,
And then it was like a storytelling. It was like they would come
yes.
out and they would do a storytelling, and then they would do their album or whatever on just acoustically. And if you guys ever get a chance to see that program, if you ever come across it, even though it's old now, it was great. And I just remember this. John Mayer once said that only this, like, everything that he loves never is like successful as the things that he's like, that was all right.
Yeah. Yeah, he said, yes, I remember that. We watched it together when he was basically saying, like, every time I'm in the best part of my mind, right? And I come up with the most creative thing and I'm like,
And this is gonna be the best.
and he goes, no one likes it. And then he goes, and then I put out this song and I go, it's all right. It's not my best. And it's like, that's a hit, number one.
Yeah.
And he goes, and then all of a sudden everybody loves you for the thing that you don't love. And he goes, it's kind of strange. Yeah.
So and then I don't remember who it was, but I remember them. I know you touched on this once before because I heard you talking about it. It's like you have to love what you're doing, because if that becomes the thing you're famous for, or the thing that you're the most known for, it will drive you crazy. And then they talked about Warrant and the Cherry Pie song and how he despised that song, and I think it like destroyed him internally.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of love what you're doing. So
Phil, this is for you though. It says my name, but it's for you. It says, Phil, like you, I wear black t-shirts almost exclusively with black shorts and black jeans. But I've been trying to do more color and variety. Okay. He says, Phil has a standardized look, Vans, shoes, black shirt, black baseball cap. I'm a big fan of the black, full disclosure. But he joked the other day about predictable and uniform his outfit is. Oh, that's funny, because I like the context. I probably said that, but I didn't give the context of why I even do it. So what they want to know is, what do you think of that? What do you...
I would like him to wear some things that are different occasionally. I mean, I don't really.
Well, for the record, I used to wear nothing but super bright colors all the time.
Yeah, when we worked in the office, he had to wear collared button-up shirts. That was we could wear jeans on Fridays, but we had to wear business attire during the Monday through Thursday, and he had to wear a button-down collared shirt. So what does Phil do? He goes out and he finds
a loophole in the dress code.
He bought, not like what are they called? Not like Hawaiian shirts, but similar to Hawaiian shirts, just very loud, very, very colorful shirts. And, a lot of them were superheroes. A lot of them were like there was a Superman shirt, and there's a Spider-Man shirt, and maybe a Punisher shirt. But it was a collared button-down shirt. So it was part of the dress code.
Yeah.
He didn't have to wear ties or anything like that.
No,
very rarely did we have to pull out ties and stuff. But it was a business casual environment that you had to wear slacks and a button down shirt for men. And for me, it was similar, but I could wear skirts. So
it was business. And then one day we all had a meeting and we were like, we were secured building, so no one was allowed in that wasn't an employee. No outside people came in. So we're like, no one sees us but each other.
Right. So then they kind of relaxed.
Business
then
casual.
They relaxed it. And then I think it got a little too relaxed towards the end when I left. But I mean, it was still okay. But I felt like it was, it just got a little too relaxed, I felt. But
the funny thing, the black shirts. So I've said this before, the black Know Your Gear shirts that I started wearing all the time, and I still to this day wear, is more for continuity of the. I don't know why, because it's funny. I think about it all the time, going, I used to, I don't want to say I'd be ashamed of it because that's not what it was, but I used to look at it as a negative, and now I think maybe it's a positive. Here's what I mean by that. I make videos sometimes and you guys see them and they take days to make and sometimes weeks to make. And sometimes I do one piece one day and then another piece the other day, another, right? It's not, and I used to try to conceal that by wearing the same clothes all the time because I would have a problem early on in the channel where I would go to do the second part of the video and the shirt that I wore in the first part was in the laundry and I was like, oh no. And that's when I had colored shirts and different shirts. And now when I look at it, I go, I think that's what makes the channel cool because of the fact that, yeah, I do spend a lot of time with these instruments, a lot of time with this equipment, not just like unbox it, go, oh yeah, it's purple. Check it out. It's purple. And then, have a good day. Know your gear, right? There's like a process, but there's a reason why I do that.
I think for Phil, having a similar wardrobe he doesn't have to think about. That's one less thing he has to think about.
Yeah.
So it's just black t-shirts, although it's very difficult for him to have black t-shirts because we have animals and there is constantly dog hair on all of his black shirts.
Yeah.
And it feels like the dogs just love to rub up against you. Yes. Just before you're getting ready to film.
This one says, now that I live in Glendale, you should do a meetup at Zim's one day. Be cool. The meetups, well, we're talking kinda to Sam Ash about doing a clinic or a restring event or something like that. That would be like a meetup. I've done meetups in the past. I always thought they did well when they had a purpose, like we did another event or something, and then I would do a meetup. Meetups are really strange for me because the channel's not huge and it's not small. It's in the middle. So we never know what to predict. I mean, if you had a huge channel, you'd be like, oh, a lot of people are going to come. I mean, I can do meetups and 2 people show up and I can do meetups and 20 people show up. So you never just know what's going to happen. But we'll see what happens with this Sam Ash discussion. I'm optimistic. We did some Sam Ash events. They were really, really, really good. They did really well. And so we'll see. Sam Ash is nice because, people remember years ago, we talked about doing them at mom and pop's cross country.
Yes.
And logistically, that's just not possible.
No.
Because I'm not attached to a brand. And so, even the Sam Ash thing's very tough because let me explain how this works. The way clinics work. So if you see Pete Thorne at a clinic, or if you see the guys at that pedal show do a clinic, you see channels doing clinics. Rob Chapman. How that system works is that the brand that they're working with pays for it.
Right.
Okay. So what happens is like JHS or not JHS, Keeley pedals, like with that pedal show. Robert Keeley will pay for their expenses, their airfare, their hotels, all that stuff. And then what he does is he goes to his dealers and say, hey, if you want a clinic at your store, this is the buy-in. And it's calculated so that if they buy enough pedals, it will pay for the cost of doing the clinic, right? Or subsidize it. At the end, a lot of these companies actually don't even break even. It's more of a marketing for the future kind of thing, right? There's nothing for anybody to sell to you. And because there's nothing to sell to you, like a lot of people are like, yeah, but if you go to the store is going to sell a lot of stuff. Well, a particular store might care about that, but B, like that's what we found was one store was like, yeah, we'll do it. And another store is like, nah, we're not interested. And then you're trying to map out like we got to get in a car and drive across the country. It got crazy. Sam Ash, same thing. Sam Ash has to pay for it, so to speak. And so how we did the other events is they didn't pay for it. I paid for it.
Right, we paid for it.
We paid for it. And so, and then when that...
And that's fine for one.
Yeah.
But, yeah, honestly, logistically, there's no way to do multiples.
It could be 15 to 20 grand.
Yeah, there's no way. There's just no way we can do it if we're, if we can't find some type of sponsorship to do it.
Yeah, and we thought about that, like, well, what if we sell like Know Your Gear shirts and merch, like, kind of bands do and stuff. And there's all kinds of ideas like that. And it's not a money issue per se, but it is a logistical thing to figure out. So Sam Ash, what happened is they reached out. And they're like, those events did really well. Maybe we can do something again. And here's the secondary problem. Because those events did so well, and then COVID happened and we haven't done anything since, we have no idea what to anticipate. And when I say no idea, it is very possible that I could do an event at Sam Ash and one person shows up or nobody, or 200 people. And that sounds good, but it's actually both are unmanageable, right? If no one shows up, then it was a waste of time. And if 200 people show up, you can't do it. So we got to figure it out. We have some ideas. We have some cool ideas. We're working on that.
We're working through it. And if we can work it out, we will.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to, is if we can work it out, we will. Yeah. We'll get this. We'll get it.
So, I've heard that somebody says they don't, if you don't look like you play an instrument. What's interesting, this is an interesting discussion. You've worked behind the counter of a music store for a decade. I've worked behind the counter of a music store for a decade.
And what I can tell you from being on the other side of everybody plays an instrument.
Yeah.
No two people that play instruments. I mean, yes, there is a rock and roll vibe to some people, but however, every walk of life, I've met people that have completely different jobs. They look completely different. I guess one of the funniest things that ever happened.
I knew you were going to say the story as soon as you said that.
One of the funniest things that ever happened to me.
Just keep the names.
I won't keep the names out.
Yeah.
I just remember this one time, and it was kind of in the evening, and it was like during the winter time where the sun goes down pretty early, and we had this customer that he would get in trouble with the law. And so we would not see him for a while, and then we would see him, and then
because he was in jail.
Yeah,
he went to jail a lot.
He was he was a character, and he got in trouble a lot. I always wanted everybody to feel like you're all welcome. You were always welcome in the store. It doesn't matter. He always treated me with respect. I always treated him with respect, and so he came in this one night. And it just happened that we had an off-duty officer in the store as well, but he was in plain clothes. And I just knew he was a police officer because I had seen him.
Yeah, he would come in the store when he was in clothes.
He would come in uniform, and then he would come out of uniform. And this night, he just happened to be out of uniform, and he was sitting there,
and very much did not look like a police officer.
Did not look like a police officer
Picture
at all.
in your head. At first, he had a very young face, so he was probably 30, and he looked 20.
Probably, yeah. Maybe. He always looked very, very young.
And now picture, he's kind of, skinny kind of guy, and he's got, he looks like a skater, right? Because he was into skateboards, and he's a skate. So he looks, picture a 20-year-old guy who looks like he's into skateboards. Okay, so he's not flagging you, cop. Okay.
No, not at all. And so I was just sitting there, and I'm looking at these two guys. The one that got in trouble, he had some tattoos, the tattoos mean something, and I didn't know they meant anything.
And
when he left, because
you forgot. Okay, so hold on. Because I gotta cue her up. Sometimes your memory. I didn't want to say. Okay.
No, I didn't want to bring that part up.
So we're gonna bring it up because we're just not gonna use names. Okay.
All right.
You started down the road. You gotta tell it.
Okay.
So here's the deal. He was in a gang, a motorcycle gang, like a real one. As you guys know, they have what's called a cut. It's their vest, and he was very respectful. He came in our store for a while. Like I said. How we knew, he was gone for a while and he was in jail was he would come the day he got out of jail with his girlfriend and buy a cheap guitar because
most of the time when he would go away, they would have to sell off all of his stuff to survive. And then he would come in and he would grab a new guitar because, of course, this is something that he was very passionate and loved, and that would keep him sane, right?
Yeah. This one particular time, he's in the store. And what he would do, which was we didn't know was a big deal. So I'll let you take over.
I had no idea it was a big deal, but apparently it was a big deal because he would be very respectful of our instruments, and he would take out. At this point, he had a knife, and
knives.
He gave me knives. He handed me some knives, and he handed me his vest to put behind the counter because he had sharp things on the vest and pins and stuff, and he didn't want to scratch any of the guitars when he was checking them out. So he hands this stuff to me. I put them behind the counter. He does his shopping. He picks something out. He pays me, and he leaves.
Yes.
And the police officer walks over to me and says, I have never experienced what I just experienced. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we were like, what?
And he goes, that guy is a
high-ranking person.
Like a high-ranking in his gang or whatever.
So, on a side note, the police officer is not a police officer. He's a gang force police officer.
Yeah, so he knew exactly who this guy was. Yeah. And he was... So he basically told me that that gentleman had mad respect for me to give me his vest and to give me his weapons, and that I must have done something to gain his respect. And I was like, well, I treat him like...
Yeah, we treat everybody the same.
I'm not saying I agree with some of the things he did. I'm just saying that music can heal a lot of different things, and music is a great thing in a lot of people's lives and can get you out of trouble. I mean, he was extremely respectful to me always.
Yeah. And I mean, he would come in sometimes with like
his family.
Kids. Yeah, his family. We saw his kids and stuff like, and so, he was never shy about saying like, yeah, I got to go to jail next week. I got to turn myself in.
Yeah, he did. And you know what? And I never engaged in what he was in trouble for.
Okay. I think we did it. Right?
Yeah, I think we're good.
If you guys have questions, put them down below, or like I said, send them in to us. We'll do more of these little bonus podcasts. These are fun. She's willing to do them, which is good. I want to thank you guys again for that, because without you guys, she wouldn't have done these. She feels connected to the community, especially the patron members community, because she deals with so many of you guys. Helping you out and getting cards out to you and getting, merch and stuff. And usually if you're buying anything like the New Year stands or any of that stuff, obviously Shauna's helping, taking care of all that stuff. She makes sure all that stuff happens. So I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah. See? And to the next time.
Know your gear.
That's right. See? All right. Goodbye.